Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about remote working. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, with the increased popularity of remote work, do you think ambitious people early in their career should still focus on which city they are living in? I currently live in the US and I'm debating moving to a lower cost of living area and working remotely versus moving to a big tech city where there will be probably where there will probably be more job opportunities and opportunities for networking. What do you think? Well, I would say that you should take a look at well, at least this is what I believe. When it comes to your survival, basically, because that is what, or your livelihood, let's make it a little bit less dramatic. When it comes to your livelihood, it's important to understand that nothing takes precedency over your ability to acquire the resources you need to sustain your life. This is something that a lot of people forget, which is something that I truly find like it's sort of a testament in a way to how well our society on the whole has been working, because some people they seem to forget that your ability to acquire money or resources or like all of these sorts of things is more important than what the size of your house, or it's more important than which job you have, or practically any other value. It's sort of, I will make the argument that almost like no, having an opinion about things that are not directly tied into like your livelihood and so forth is a luxury that only people who have a level of living standard have the ability to have. Like all the so seemingly pointless infighting on social media and so forth. It usually comes, a lot of these sort of trivial things comes from people who have no need for anything, or rather they have such a high living standard that they don't have to worry about having food for the day, or if their electric bill is going to be too high, etc., etc. And so when you ask, because the remote thing that you're talking about, going to a low cost living area, is on paper maybe a good move for you, but the thing that is most interesting is not where you live. The thing that is most important is where are the opportunities. And so having remote work can work out really, really well for you, but that is based on the assumption that you can acquire those sorts of positions. It's sort of like it's like a hunter, a fisherman, or something like that. You have to go where the fish are, or where the game is. That's where it really comes down to. So I can't answer that question for you. Should you be in a big city or should you be remote? Because the reality is that if you get a remote position and you go to a low cost living area, well, that's going to work out really well for you. But if you go to a low cost living area or like some remote location, and the opportunities that are available for you are all on site, well, then you're going to have to relocate or starve. That's the sort of mindset that I try to preach to people. It's not important what you have decided, like you sort of like your desires are secondary to your needs. Needs are always going to trump like the usually what should take precedency in your priorities. So before you make this sort of like decision, should you go here or should you go there, try to think about it this way. Do you have steady work? If you don't, then why even have this conversation with me? If you have no steady work, because this is usually how people do it, like it's like I will say at the very least, usually people make sure that they sort out their finances before they make big life decisions like buying a house or moving somewhere, or etc., etc. As I said, the needs, the securing of resources is the first thing on any like any person who has to fend for themselves agenda. Once that has been taken care of, other things can start coming in, right? And so before you take a look at moving to one city or another, you just look at the job postings. What are the job postings telling you? Is there a lot of room for remote work? I mean, where you're living right now. Can you get a remote work environment? Like, can you get it right now from where you live? Because if you can, then why would you not be able to get it if you move? Then keep that job, do your remote thing, move to your next region, and there you are, like, you mission accomplished, right? But on the other hand, if it turns out, and this might happen, my friend, it's something that it's especially now with the whole Ukraine situation, it's something that people start realizing very quickly, that when you've lived in a world that is so secure that you've never had to make tough choices, once those choices come along, you actually start, as I like to say, you stop with the bullshit, the luxury bullshit that spoiled children you tend to do, and you start realizing that actually, you know what, the world doesn't give two shits about your comfort, because now your scarcity has come back, and scarcity means that you have to do some work, like you're gonna have to relocate, you're gonna have to make the tough choices, right? And so what might happen, this is why I say that you should probably take a look at what job options you have before you even decide on moving to another company. Don't focus on where you're gonna move, focus on where you're gonna work, and make the decision from that perspective, because as I said, that is the only thing that matters. Because if you do it the other way around, then you're sort of like just betting on that you can go to a new city and find a job when you're there. And you can, absolutely. If you're lucky, you will. Like, if you're really talented and like so forth, then maybe that's all going to work out for you. But it's more prudent usually to secure the work or like the livelihood before you make that sort of switch. Unless you're, as I said, like sort of a free fall person who just wants to go and take a bet on it. If that is the case, then there's not much I can tell you, because as I said, it's a complete gamble. I don't know your skill set. I don't know. Like, I know that there's tons of remote work in the world, but I don't know where you're moving. I don't know which companies you're going to apply for, etc., etc. I know for a fact that there are remote workers. We even have a term, I think, called digital nomads. So it's not like it can't be done, but it really comes down to your specific case, right? So that's why I suggest that you start with trying to acquire the job first and sort of figure out, does this seem in some way to be sustainable for me? Can I make my money regardless of where I work? And if you can't, then you have to relocate, which is the case for everybody. If you're a coal miner and the coal mine or like something like that, and it dries up, then you need to move to the next mine or like the next shaft, etc., etc. If it's location dependent, right? And so that's the thing that you should focus on, because you might find that you can move to this other location here and like with your current job, and then it turns out that the next time you need to find work, you can't find another job, and now you have to relocate again. And I think that that's a more healthy mindset for you, to have this idea to think in terms of, all right, have I secured my finances or my livelihood by making these sorts of decisions? And when you know that you can sustain your situation even with a little bit of a bump in the road or something happening and so forth, that's why I always preach, don't live within your means. It's so stupid to push it to the absolute edge for something that may or may not be all that important. I can't speak for everybody, but because if you find that you go on tough times or something like that, you're still going to have to make the tough choice, and you don't want to put yourself in a situation where your comfort or like your things that you don't really need have put you in a situation where when those things can't really be sustained anymore, you're in a worse situation than if you lived in a little bit more of a sustainable manner. So what I want you to take away from this is that, well, basically I think that the idea of saying that, oh, well, I'm gonna move somewhere to like a low-cost area and then work more remotely, or should I like go and work in a big city where I can get more job opportunities, sort of indicates that you've already not done the thing that I argue that you should, and that is to look for the job, look for the, like, it's sort of like, to me it's like a hunter, or as I said, a fisherman who just decides that I really like this lake over here, and then someone else goes along, yeah, but there are no fish in there, and you going, yeah, but I don't care about that. Of course, you have to find where the fish are first. Now, remote work will give you the option of sort of working from wherever, but you need to check first. Can you get remote work? If you're in the start of your career, maybe it's difficult for you. Maybe it's tough for you to find your first job, and in that case, it might be in the situation where you might have to temporarily move to another town, like maybe not somewhere where you would have loved to work, but this is where the opportunity is. So you move there, and you start working there, and then maybe further down the line you test the waters again, and you realize that, hey, now I have all these options and I can do all this stuff and so forth. Now, as I said, now you've secured your livelihood. Now you can make all of these luxury decisions until the next time something happens, like, I don't know, remote work becomes like illegal or something like that, and now you have to start moving again. That's why I preach to people. Try to make sure that you secure the things that you actually need, not what you want, what you need first and foremost. Live within your means to make sure, so you make sure that if something unforeseen happens, you can deal with it, and then make sure that you're flexible, because opportunity is not something that you're going to get by being complacent. Have a great day.